Do you realize that every single person on this earth who has had an encounter with God has a story to tell? Not only a story to tell, but they're on an adventure of life that will continue to produce stories after stories of God's grace and God's forgiveness and God's love extended through the human race, through you and I. And as born again believers, I believe that one of the challenges we face is we all have stories, but we don't have a readily available setting where we can go and tell our stories. But I have discovered through the listening to my mentors on YouTube and listening to YouTube videos from the founder of YouTube, there is a vision and a desire to have every single story told through the eyes of the storyteller and the creativity of the storyteller to tell it. Therefore, I remember growing up in the traditional church that we go to church every Sunday, and the pastor has a consistent place to share what he learned and what he has experienced. And once in a while, he will leave it to a lay person to tell us, to preach or talk to the church. But that's not a consistent place to become a good storyteller. And then when I came into the broad base of the Christian world, I realized that if you are talented in speaking and talented in presenting, you might have a better chance of getting consistent booking. And then if you are a pastor or a founder of a church organization, you might have a chance to speak to that organization every Sunday, and then every one of their midweek services. So they will always have the platform to practice and to deliver what is in their hearts. And the rest of the people are just left to themselves. Have you ever been as a Christian where you wish you go to a church, and if you have, like me, I would go to a church and I would look around and I would say, man, I can see myself in front of this church speak to all these people. And it would be a great benefit for me and a benefit for the church, because they will hear from someone else something different. But unfortunately, the programming of the traditional church is not set up for everybody to have a voice in the church. We have a voice in sharing and talking, fellowshipping, and in worship. We also have a voice in services, but it's more of a one-on-one. And the people who are taking predominantly a very upfront position are the ones with titles. And we know that we don't all have titles, but we all have the principles that we take from the Bible, take from the church, and we apply them to ourselves. And we have a message and a story on how those principles are working out in our lives, but we don't have a platform by which we can share our story. To me, as a Christian who was involved in developing ministries before and organizations before, this is one of the reasons why I am absolutely convinced that YouTube and its format is for all the Christians. The Christians are the ones with a story, and our story has various elements. One is about how we overcame certain things with the help of God, and we can translate that into talking. and making it entertaining enough for other people to come and hear us out. That's one of the reasons why I think and I believe that YouTube is for such a time as this, that every Christian must take into account your story and your responsibility. Because here's what the Bible says. God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to do you good, plans for your good and not for your harm." And these plans have to be spoken in front of other people, because if we don't, then we will just carry it. And there's a lot of people frustrated today, Christians frustrated today, because they know they have a lot to offer, but there's nowhere to offer it. There's no place to offer it. But in discovering YouTube, you can talk to the camera as if you're reliving your story. Put it in a place where YouTube can present it to the world as a platform, and people are looking for solutions that you and I are carrying in our hearts. That is one of the reasons why I want to be bold enough to come and say every Christian must consider having a YouTube channel, because it's a place where you can create a different platform outside of what you and I are familiar with in the church setting. Just ask yourself this question: how many platforms are there for ordinary people, extraordinary people, to share their story? And how often is that available? And then you look at the formatting of the church, and the church is formatted that we meet once a week on Sunday, or twice a week on Sunday, or 3 times a week on Sunday. And then the rest of us, and it consists of all the people. When you think of all the places where Christians are gathering together, and the amount of power that is in their story in one place. But unfortunately, we don't have the benefit of benefiting from it because the platform is not there. And therefore, everybody comes and listens, and sometimes that becomes a pattern of what is later on known as Christianity. I heard somebody said the other day, I didn't leave God, I left the church. And the church is meant to be a place where people come together to fellowship, people come together to strengthen each other, people come together to reinforce how valuable their worship of Jesus is. But it's not a place where we can go and be a salt and light in the community. It's a place where we go and get blessed, get touched by God. And that's not wrong. That's nothing about it. But I wonder how many people in all of these churches that come together by every week, how many stories of victories, how many stories of power, how many stories of courage is left unspoken because there's no place for them to give it to. And yet we have this amazing platform in YouTube that the owner and the CEO of the company is saying, if you have a story and it's uniquely yours, authenticated by your sharing of it, and you have a vehicle whereby you can take a camera, like me, you can take your telephone and use it to take your videos, upload it to YouTube, and YouTube will help you spread your message to others. Of course, there's a learning curve on how to do it, how to market it, and now the onus is on us. Because we're the owners of the story, we must take ownership of our stories and create platforms, create places whereby our stories can be told, be heard, and have the impact it was supposed to have. I believe that every Christian must have a YouTube channel. I really believe that. And I believe that as we tell the story, his story of how he loved us, how he forgave us, how he helped us, how he empowered us, how he changed us, those are the stories that the world is looking for. But we don't need to wait for the opportunity to speak in a big gathering. Those gatherings are good, and those gatherings will also be a part on top of what you are creating on your own. I think one of the gifts that we have as Christians is that we have a relationship with God who enlarge our visions by giving us the mind and the thinking and listening to what is going on in our world today, and then use the knowledge we have from that to create platforms and to create our own channels to be broadcast through a vehicle called YouTube. And we don't have to pay for it. It's free. But it can turn into two things. One is it can turn into a channel whereby you alone are experiencing firsthand the power of reliving. Because remember, when we tell our story, we're telling what happened before, and therefore in that, it has the power to create again. When somebody else hears our story, access our story, and it's not related or associated to what many people term church, but it's related to people. Today in the internet world, people are looking for authentic experience. People are looking for something real and something that matters to them, so that where they can hear how they can experience the fullness. Everybody's looking for something to fill up that vacuum that they have in their hearts. And I really, really, really believe that YouTube will be a vehicle that we can encourage each other with. And part of the use of this channel is for you to come, and we're going to introduce you to some of the mentors and people that have taught me and taught others on what to do, specialize in how you can build your own television studio by using YouTube Studio to create first and release it to the world, and then your creativity will happen as things happen. There are people who are making a lot of money, and a lot of those people are people who just have nothing but a story to begin with. Of all the people in the world that have the power of a story, it's us, the born-again believers, the ones who believe in Jesus Christ, to take a hold of this medium and use it. Just like in the beginning, we had radio, and radio helped expand. In Billy Graham's day, he had television, he had radio stations all over the world that were broadcasting a cassette tape that they sent them. But it was a vehicle that expand and enlarge what he has to say and his story and the stories of those who were impacted by him. Then, of course, radio turned into television, and radio still has some element of influence and impact. But television took on a whole different dimension because it now includes vision, and visual. And instead of people listening to the voice, they can see your face, they can see the face of the person who's talking and relate to them. And so today, television is having a big impact around the world, but YouTube is bigger. It's bigger in scope, bigger in reach, and everybody have access to it and to the YouTube studio for finalizing your product to be sent out in the YouTube algorithm. So, my dear Christian brothers and sisters, I'm appealing to you in the name of Jesus to take into account your story, the value of your story, the importance of having a platform whereby your voice and your story can be said, spoken, visualized, and be received on the other side. And then, of course, the bottom line is you don't need a big budget. You just need the attention of getting on your telephone, record a video, and upload it to YouTube, and you are now in the whole scope of the world. And they have discovered that in the next 2 years, this is called the content creator industry. It's an industry where people are getting paid for creating content. Content is from the stories that we have. Content is from the stories we have to encourage other people to jump on board and move forward. So Jesus started with just 12 disciples, and then his 12 disciples went into all the world based on his final commission, go into all the world and preach the gospel. And the gospel was presented to us by other people from other places who spoke into microphones and into recording studios. And we have the benefit of that. Now we have something that go hand in hand with videos, audios, and we have a story. We have of all the people in the world who has something to say about their story, and the reason why they have a story, because God says, I know the plans I have for you. Wherever you are in your journey today, the question is this: where and who is listening and hearing your story? And if your story has value in God because he changed you so that you can say something about how he changed and transformed your life, and have a platform whereby your story can be put on top of it and let it disperse into the world. I am excited for the future. This is the future for the Christian church and for Christian believers to take into account the plan God has for you is bigger, greater, and it involves you right smack in the middle. By the way, if you receive any value from this, I would love to hear your comment down below. Comment, and then please subscribe to the channel so that the channel can be seen by many other people and be given a chance to be encouraged on what this is in front of us. And secondly, if you can share it with your friends and people so that more people can tune in and see what we're doing here. This channel is set to be a model of, we start with small, but most of the big things that happen in the churches happens because somebody has a vision and they spoke the vision forth, and there was a platform given to those people to speak the vision to a number of people, and those people believe and they began to participate. I believe that we're looking into the harvest of the future coming from, who would have said, YouTube? But YouTube provides all the things that has limited the church from doing the things that they want to do in the future, with resources, with storytelling, with being authentic and being true to the person who gave us the reason for our story. The reason I do my story is because God loved me. I found his unconditional love when I did not deserve anything. And most of the time today, I go to God in prayer because something came up, and sometimes I have to be careful of trying to block God by saying, because I did this, you can do this for me. No, it's because he loved me. I have the right relationship with him to come to him in prayer and to believe him for the next best thing. to me, this is my next best thing, is making sure that I keep my story authentic. Making sure that the stories I told are not just something I try to impose on people, but hopefully the stories excuse me, can recreate in you, the listener, the one who is listening to this, recreate in you the same belief, the same faith, the same belief that if God can do it for one person, he can do it for all of us. And it seems like with YouTube having the algorithm and the finances behind it, the sky's the limit. So this is Susene Leao. God bless you. Thank you for coming, and come again. Bye-bye for now.